Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Urvashi, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about a new topic. I'm still into the Nakshatra series, but I like to take a break now and then. So I'm going to take a bit of a break from there, and this is an interesting topic. I think you guys will enjoy this. And so this is about Lal Kitab and how Lal Kitab sees the zodiac. And it is also connected to Vastu. So you can see how planets and houses affect the Vastu of your own house where you live. The biggest difference is that in Lal Kitab, the first house is always Aries. No matter what your Lagna is, you could be a Capricorn ascendant, you could be Cancer ascendant, a Libra ascendant. But Lal Kitab always sees the first house as Aries. So the natural zodiac is how it is seen in Lal Kitab. So the first house is always Aries, second house is always Taurus, the 12th house is always Pisces. And then they see the position of the planets. So the first house is Aries, and the planet that exalts in the first house is Sun. And Sun is also the natural significator of the first house. So the Sun becomes the most important planet for the first house according to Lal Kitab. Mars is important because it is the natural ruler of Aries. But what is even more important is the Sun. So that is the first thing you need to keep in mind if you're studying the chart according to Lal Kitab. And then the first house is also the eastern direction. So now you can see the east side of your house and how that connects to the first house of your chart. The first house is also the first house also shows the outer wall of the house. So if your first house is very strong, very good, if the sun is very well posited, it shows that you have a nice boundary wall to your house, a very strong, good boundary wall to your house. But if the first house is afflicted, it will show that the boundary wall to your house is not good enough, it's weak. And it also shows that the eastern side of your house, there is affliction or there are doshas according to Vastu. What kind of doshas? You may have a toilet in the east, you may have a store in the east, a place where you store all your things that you just collect and you don't know what to do with them. Basically things that we need to get rid of. All the clutter of your house, you're storing all your clutter in that area. In the eastern side, you may have a toilet there, you could have your kitchen there. So the southeast is the best direction to have a kitchen, not the precise east direction. But it does show there are such doshas in your house if the first house of your birth chart is not strong enough. Not strong enough if there are certain planets posited there, or if the sun is not in good dignity. How, according to Lal Kitab, will we see that the sun is not in good dignity? If the first house is Aries, the seventh house is naturally Libra. So sun posited alone in Libra is a debilitated sun. A sun posited alone in the seventh house, according to Lal Kitab, shows that it's a weak sun, it's a debilitated sun, because this is the natural zodiac we are talking about. So sun in the seventh house, weak sun. Sun in the 6th house, 8th house, 12th house, again weak sun. So sun afflicted or sun in these houses, the first house becomes weak. The outer boundary of your place where you live is questionable. The eastern direction of your house can have some dosha. You may always, you may have changed a few houses, but then you will observe that all your houses, wherever you may live, will never have the early sun rays coming into your house. You will not get the early rays of the sun. The rays of the rising sun are the best. And if you have an afflicted or a weak sun, or the first house is afflicted, then you may always be living in houses which do not receive the first rays of the morning sunlight. So these are the doshas you may come across. What all do we see from the first house according to Lal Kitab? Of course, we see the physical body, we see the soul, we see the conflict, the amount of conflict between the soul and the materialistic world, the Maya, the illusion. This world is an illusion. It's all very transitory. We are all here for a very short span of time. So, how much of a conflict is there? What kind of a war is there between this Atma, between the soul and the illusion and the materialistic world is seen from the first house. If you have the sun posited there's less of war, or the person is better able to deal with the materialistic world. If there is, but the sun posited there will make one, feel that they are a king, will make one authoritative, will make one like a dictator, will want to make one control everything and everybody, even at home. And there could be anger issues, but good relations with authority figures, it's a good indication for a government job. There are lots of things to see for a government job, but connections with authority figures, relationships and benefits from authority figures, all this looks good. And the person is better able to deal with the Mayavi world, or with the Maya, with the illusion. Moon posited there, moon is a friend of the sun's. This person is calm, peace loving, fond of education, fond of learning, always supported by his mother. As long as his or her mother is alive, there's a blessing on this person's head. And education will always be good for this person. This person will be able to utilize education for a livelihood. Jupiter posited there, it's a very good position. Jupiter is again a friend of the sun's. Knowledgeable, good counselor, good teacher, wise person. Mars posited here, very temperamental, very angry, wants to do things very, very quickly, but very helpful, wants to help the needy, the poor people. Anybody who is in distress, Mars in the first house would want to go out and help that person. Venus posited here in the first house. According to Lal Kitab, fortunate. The person thinks he is very attractive, wants to be the center of attraction. And if others do not make him the center of attraction, if he does not feel important enough, he can go into some kind of a depression or a low phase. This is a good position for finances. This person will be blessed with good wealth, good vehicles. Venus is the natural significator of vehicles. Mercury posited here, intelligent person, very intelligent person, and somebody who can use his intelligence to make money. So we covered Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Moon, Sun, Mars. Saturn posited here. Saturn in the first house, according to Lal Kitab, because in Lal Kitab the first house is seen as Aries, so this is a debilitated Saturn. More obstructions, more difficulties in life. It's difficult for the person to complete a task. He may just leave a task midway and move on to something else. So not one of the best positions to have Saturn in the first house. And then if the sun is also afflicted, let's suppose the sun is in the 7th house or in the 6th house. So now the sun is afflicted, Saturn is in the first house. So there will be doshas on the eastern side of your house. Then you better check the east side of your house. Then Rahu posited here. Rahu posited in the first house. Rahu is an enemy. Rahu eclipses the sun. Again, dosha related to the sun. Now this person will have difficulty trusting anyone, and more hurdles, more obstacles in life. This person will have to work very hard in life, and he will not get results according to his work. He will work much harder, he will get lesser results. Ketu posited here. Ketu posited here can make one a thinker, a very, very deep thinker. One will always be thinking, always being sucked into that whirlpool of thoughts, and one will constantly want changes. There will be a lot of movement in this person's life. So this is how basically different planets can affect the Lagna and the life of the native according to Lal Kitab. But the condition of the sun is very important. Now sun alone in the 7th house, debilitated sun. How do we strengthen such a sun? I'll give you the remedy which is according to Lal Kitab. I personally do not follow it. I still prefer the Vedic remedies, but I will just share the remedy with you. Take Tamba coins, 7 coins of Tamba, 7 pieces of Tamba of the same weight, and bury those, that metal on a Sunday between 11:30 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. So between that time, you go and bury those 7 pieces, preferably in some ground which belongs to the government or some authority figure. So go and bury those 7 pieces of metal, in such a ground, and you can do this for 7 Sundays. So this is a Lal Kitab remedy, especially if there is a problem in getting married, because sun here according to Lal Kitab is a debilitated sun. I still prefer the Vedic remedies. And if you are having problem related to status, position, name, fame, finances, dealing with the world, because the sun is afflicted, means the first house is afflicted, the first house is not very strong, immunity, physical health, if any of this is, you're feeling low on this, so what you can do is, along with Surya Namaskar, along with offering water to the sun in the morning, Om Suryaya Namah is a very simple small mantra you can chant. You can use a Surya Yantra on the eastern wall of your house, or you can use a picture of the sun on the eastern wall of the house. That will remove the Vastu doshas, that will definitely improve the doshas. At least don't have a toilet seat on the east side of the house, on the exact east side of the house. And so you can use these remedies, you can use these yantras, you can use these pictures, you can do mantra chanting, you can offer water to the sun, you can start fasting on Sundays, which will really be very helpful. But I've also given you the Lal Kitab remedy that I personally do not prefer. So that way the negativity of the sun will go away, it will reduce to an extent. But if the sun is in the 7th house with Mercury, it's much, much better. Now the sun has some strength. Mercury is good in the 7th house. So now the sun is not as weak as it is otherwise. And if the sun is in an exchange yoga, let's suppose Venus is in the 1st house, sun in the 7th house, that's great. Because now there is an exchange between the 1st and 7th house, so it's not that bad. But the sun again in the 6th, 8th, 12th is bad. And bad for your health, bad for your image, bad for your status. But if the sun is in the 1st house, it's strong, it's exalted. So in that case, remedies for the sun are not recommended. What is recommended is remedies for the moon or Mars, because moon is the queen and Mars is the Senapati. Mars is the commander-in-chief for the sun. So remedies for the moon and the Mars are suggested. If you still need to do remedies for the sun, if the sun is very strong. But if the sun is weak and afflicted, then you can do remedies for the sun itself. Sun is also the father. If the sun is weak and afflicted, the father's health can also be questionable. The first house also suggests the first 25 years of your life. So if the first house is strong, if the sun is in the first house, so that means that the first 25 years of the native's life will be good, generally. And if the first house is afflicted, the sun is afflicted, it means that the person will not get success very quickly in life. The first 25 years will be more difficult. You can also see the transit of planets in the Varshfal Kundli, or you can see the Varshfal Kundli accordingly. So if you have any of these planets in the first house in the Varshfal Kundli, you will also get results accordingly for that year. So here we can see both for the natal chart and for the Varshfal chart. So here the sun is not only your intelligence, the first house is not only your intelligence, your thinking, your character, it is your soul, it is what kind of karmic baggage are you bringing into this life, how much struggle is going to be there for you. So if you are bringing in good karma into this life, then you will be blessed with a strong sun and a good first house. So this is really very simple. I'll just rewind all of it. So see what the first house is like, see the planets in the first house, and see the position of the sun. And this relates to the eastern side of your house and the outer boundary of your house. So if the first house and the sun are afflicted, then the eastern side of your house will have some affliction, some doshas according to Vastu, and the outer boundary of your house will also have some issues, sometimes the outer boundary is not so strong, sometimes the wall breaks or something like that, and the eastern side may have some issues. So there are lots of Vastu doshas, but then check the east wall and the east side of your house, and vice versa. If your eastern side of your house has afflictions, if there is a toilet, if you're cluttering the eastern side of your house in some way, or if you're even urinating facing the east, it's not a good thing to do. The toilet seat should not face the east. So if your toilet seat is facing the east, even then you are afflicting the sun in your chart. So be cautious about these small things. The toilet seat should not face the east. When you're standing in the kitchen, then you should be facing the east and cooking. That's a good thing to do. But the toilet seat facing the east, urinating or going to the loo facing the east, spoils the sun, spoils the first house, lowers your intelligence, definitely will impact your intelligence, and will spoil your name and fame. So these are some of the things you need to be cautious about. I've also given you remedies for improving the sun, for improving the first house. We'll see you in the next video. Now I'm going to be talking about the second house according to Lal Kitab. See you in the next video. Bye bye for now.